All right, you guys, welcome to the Football Brand of Mind podcast. This is episode 9. We are beginning to get a lot of traffic on our YouTube channel. We would love for you guys to keep liking and subscribing because we're gonna keep this content rolling. This is fun. We love doing it. We love talking ball, and it's really cool, man. We're gonna keep our NFL segments going, and we're going to break down the NFC North today. So, but before we get started, how you doing, bro?
We're doing good, man. Having a good time doing this. Ready for some more.
Okay, all right, cool. So, starting off with the NFC North, man, this is this is a black and blue division for our older fans. Division has some tough players, some of the greatest players you could ever play football. Just blue collar division, man. I mean, just think of the cities. You got the Minnesota Vikings, you know what I'm saying? The Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions. These are all tough, hard-nosed cities. So it's great to have them all in one conference, man, one division. And there we go, man. It's a tough division. So we're obviously gonna start off with the champions, as we do all our shows. Minnesota Vikings won this division, man. So let's start with them. What do you think about the Minnesota Vikings last year, man?
So, I mean, last year, I think that everybody knew that they were going to be good. I feel like they overachieved a little bit. Uh,
Hmm.
Obviously, their defense is just, at least last year, they did not live up to what they needed to be. Offenses, obviously, when you have Kirk Cousins, you had Justin Jefferson, you had Dalvin Cook, you had Alexander Madison, you had Adam Thielen, and obviously we're going to get into some other things that happened in the offseason. But the Vikings have something good going. I mean, they seem like they have a pretty good young head coach. Uh, but I don't see Minnesota making a deep playoff run unless they figure that defense out because they can score points. But I mean, Kirk Cousins can only do so much.
True.
If that defense can't start containing some of these other powerhouse teams in the NFC, then I mean that division's up for grabs. Definitely,
I
this year's
agree.
going to be a lot more. This year's a little bit more wide open, and I mean, I guess we'll discuss where we see certain teams in a little bit. But as of right now, the Vikings are a really good team, but their defense is going to hold them back unless they can figure that out. They're not making it to the Super Bowl anytime soon.
Understandable. Understandable. So if I had to give my take on the Vikings, since we're transitioning to the breakdown now, but the Minnesota Vikings are a team that is kind of weird to me because they have all the weapons that you need to really be
Mm-hmm.
successful on a season to season basis. Like what are they really looking for? Because they're in the picture, they're gonna make the playoffs more times than not.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do next? Like what's missing to take them to the next step? Because at one point they had the good defense and Kirk Cousins was supposed to be the missing link. Now
Mm-hmm.
that coach was let go. So now defense is kind of being thrown out a little bit. So now what do you need on defense to take that next step? Because Kirk Cousins really has all the weapons he could really want to have. I mean, he has himself, so he can throw the ball. Then you have Justin Jefferson. You had Adam Thielen, he's gone now. But
Mm-hmm.
you bring in some other guys and then running back by committee nowadays, so you really don't need a bell cow like a Dalvin Cook because you can get 3 Dalvin Cooks so for less money. So that's not really my concern. But defensively, what do you do? Like what else can we give you, moving forward to help you get to that point? Because this is a franchise that doesn't have a Super Bowl yet, but has been to 4.
Mm-hmm.
So they have been respectable as a franchise for a long time. I don't remember them being for a long stretch like a top 5 pick team. Like I don't remember them being up there. Now
It's either
they
middle of the road or
yeah, every now and again they be picking top 5 where they get an Adrian Peterson or something like that, or they get a Dante Culpepper or a Randy Moss. But even when they got Moss, they were in like that was top 15 pick. So he wasn't necessarily a top 10 guy. So this team is trending in the right direction. Just want to see what's next. But this year, they got some competition, man. So we transition into the team that finished second in this division. The Lions. I think the Lions caught everybody by off guard. Um, and I think they're ready to go, man. I think they're ready to ascend. I think people don't really understand how good that team really is. What do
Mhm.
you think about the Lions, bro?
Man, I'm high on Detroit. They didn't lose a whole lot, man. If anything, they've gotten better in the offseason. Just to mention a few things, I mean, Jared Goff played outside of his mind last year. Played really good. You lose DeAndre Swift. You lose Jamal Williams. But in free agent, they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They got David Montgomery. They turn around, they get Marvin Jones back. You're
Mm.
still rocking with you drafted Jameer Gibbs. You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jared Goff's playing really good, man. That defense is looking really tough now with the additions they already have. They have good pressure up front. The secondary looks really good. Yeah, I think Detroit's a major force in the NFC this year for sure. And don't be surprised if they take the NFC North.
I'm not going to be surprised anywhere because as we get deeper into the division, I think I think that's my pick to win the division this year because they just have all the momentum, man. They have everything they haven't had in a very long time. So they have a good defense. Usually they don't have a good offense, or they have a good offense and not a good defense. But this year it's pretty balanced, man. You got playmakers on offense. And you got playmakers on defense, man, which is really hard to do in the NFL nowadays to have playmakers on both sides of the ball. And that gives you a chance to win more games, especially in this division, which is wide open. It's probably the most wide open division you have in football right now because anybody can get it, if they really want to play well. So I think they'll really win this division. I I don't know. I'm not sold on Jared Goff, man, but he played really good
And
last year, man.
he played up to his potential last year. And
Yeah.
obviously they did draft a quarterback. They did take Hendon Hooker. But I think Goff's got a lot to prove. If he can play anything like he did last year, if not better than last year, Detroit can make a deep run, dude. They've got weapons all over the board, up and down the roster. If he plays anything he did last year, if not better, Detroit's a major force, hands down,
I
no
can't
discussion.
not to cut you off, but I can't talk about the Lions without talking about Dan Campbell, man. What a
Oh, dude,
guy.
he's a hell of a coach.
He's a hell of a coach, man. He's no nonsense. He's straight to the point, but he's a player's coach and they love him, man. And more times than not, the player coaches get the short end of the stick because they're
Typically,
not specialized in one area of football or another. They just get people and they get people to play as hard as they can. And sometimes the results of a coach like that or a slow rise, right?
mhm.
And management will get impatient with that slow rise, wanting a fast name. You know what I'm saying? Something hot, something that get them going, right? And other times they just need to let it grow like it should. Get you a good guy in there that knows football, that's good with the media, good with the players, man. All of that, good in the city, man, that represents the city. I think getting a coach that understands the city is almost like I think it's important, man, because if you get a coach that's not, not showing the values of your city, I think sometimes that can kind of have a negative effect on really
Mhm.
your fan base. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's a money making thing, man. And sometimes you need that. Like you can win, and win is gonna get you money more times than not. But I think having a solid foundation of not only a good coach but a good front office, which they have, is definitely helping them because it's building a foundation that I don't think the Lions have had in a very, very long time. I think
Oh
ever
yeah.
since the Barry Sanders days, that's been a franchise that's been on rocky foundation for a very long time. And you can point to front office, you can point to head coaching hires, you can point to anything you want to do. But the root of their issues has always been up top. It's never been on the field because they've had great players, a la Barry Sanders. They've had guys like Matthew Stafford and Megatron and all these guys. I mean, Sean Rogers on defense, which is big in the middle. I mean, gosh, so many names you can even think of. They got Dre Bly in free agency, man, like a big fish.
Mhm.
And they went that route and still couldn't do anything. So, I mean, they drafted 4 receivers in a row, 4 in the first round. You draft Charles Rogers, you draft
Oof.
Mike Williams, who was actually
Oof.
tight end, but they transferred him to receiver. Then you draft Roy Williams, that was a
Oof.
hit, and then you drafted Calvin Johnson. So 4
Mhm.
receivers in a row, and only 2 of them actually amounted to anything. So
Mhm.
that's my thing. Foundation. It's never been players. It's always been up top with them. So my thing is, I think this is the best chance they've had in years to win this division. You don't have big guy in Green Bay, which we won't talk about. You don't have Minnesota with a crazy defense. They're wide open. They can be beat, and you have all the weapons moving forward as the Detroit Lions. You have offensive weapons, you have defensive weapons, and a great head coach. This is your time to shine. Don't miss
Agreed.
your window. That's all I'm saying. All right, so now we transfer. I'm gonna move forward to what we speak of. The big man in Green Bay is no longer there. So my question to you for the Green Bay Packers is, what is life after Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, Green Bay's in a tough spot, man. Green Bay's in a really tough spot.
I
You lose
agree.
Aaron Rodgers. You don't have Devontae Adams again. Offensively, you've only got like one guy who's like still really Aaron Jones. Your receiving core is you lose Alan Lazard. You lost Devontae Adams 2 years ago. All you got is Christian Watson and I think another guy they took last year. Their defense, they lost guys. Their defense is respectable, but they've lost guys. Uh, dude, I'll be honest, I'm not. We don't have anything to go off of with Jordan Love. We don't know if that's going to transition to the field. And I mean, I'm just going to give a sneak peek into like where I see things going. I mean, I'm a lot more sold on Justin Fields than I'm sold on Jordan Love, and I would not be surprised if the Packers come in last. I mean, I don't. I mean, this is a real year for LaFleur to prove if he's actually a good coach or is it just Aaron Rodgers. But if I'm putting my money on anything, I'm saying that the Bears are going to come in third and the Packers are going to be in fourth. I just that's they got a lot of what ifs in Green Bay right now. And definitely quarterback. This is the biggest one.
Understandable, man. Like I said, you hit on the Packers. Those were all my points I was going to hit. What is Matt LaFleur going to do with Jordan Love? Is he as good as people say? I don't know. We don't know anything about him. So, as far as I'm concerned, you don't have a quarterback right now until we see how he can play. So I'm all for all those points you made. So I just transition into the Bears, bro. I think they are the team that can surprise people to get into the wild card, man. I love the faith that they had in Justin Fields to not draft one of those quarterbacks this year, to trade out of the top 5. That let me know you trust Justin Fields and you're ready to move forward with him. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know their coach's name. It's a kind of a weird name to pronounce, and I don't want to butcher it. But I like because he's a defensive guy. And when I think about the Bears are a defensive team, defensive franchise. You don't have some of the best defenses without some of the best defensive minds. We're talking Buddy Ryan and the 85 Bears. Like, you just don't have that. Brian Urlacher, Lovie Smith, Ron Rivera coaching there too. Like
Mm-hmm.
that team is built on defense. So to have them, I want to see them take strides on that side of the ball more so than offense, because I think offensively you're going to build through Justin Fields, and acquiring DJ Moore was probably one of the most important moves you can make on the offseason,
I agree.
because you finally gave Justin Fields a weapon to use. You know what I'm saying? He's had the
Mm-hmm.
running game. Shoot, he runs by himself. which is an offensive strength anyway. So you got that, but I think he's gonna take a step forward that nobody's thinking he's gonna take. Like I think everybody's expecting him to improve, but I think he's gonna take a step forward into probably the top 13 quarterback in the league
I would
because
agree with you.
I'm not gonna say he's top 10. I say he's on the outside of that. But I think last year you could put him in the top 25. He was a bottom 50% guy. But I think he's gonna
Hmm.
be in the top 50% guy this year because he's got confidence, he's got a weapon, and I think the city's behind him, man. I think they want to see him do some good things, man. So
Hmm.
I think they could sneak into a wild card spot, man. If they compete with the Vikings, I think it'll be those two. This might be a division that's so close in that top three that
You could have.
you can
It's
get three
possible.
teams in the playoffs. Like
It's possible.
you could literally get three teams in the playoff in a division like this because there's so many different storylines, and one thing could separate one team. It could be injuries, it could be weather one game because they do play outside in
Mhm.
some of these teams. So weather could be a factor in one of these games. So I think so, man. I think, like I said, I think the Bears is going to surprise some people with Justin Fields being the biggest surprise of them all. I think so. So, but definitely, I got the Lions winning this division. Who you have winning the division?
Uh, I've got Detroit. I've got Detroit. I'm high on the Bears. I don't know if they're ready to make that jump yet, but I mean, you look at some of the guys,
Yeah.
some of the guys they signed, they brought in Tremaine Edmonds to help that defense. That's gonna freaking help. Like you said, they traded for DJ Moore. They signed Robert Tonyan from Green Bay. That's a good weapon. They got Deontay Foreman as a backup tailback, and they
Mm,
got PJ Walker as the backup QB. I think Chicago is going to be really good. I need to see how he's going to play like the first half of the season. And I agree with you. I think he's going to make a big leap that a lot of teams are thinking, he's going to be good, but he's going to try to run. I think he's going to show people, hey, dude, I can throw the ball too. Like I
he
don't
has
have to just run for 1,000 yards. Like I can throw the ball.
he
But
has a good arm
I
too.
could definitely see things falling how you say. I just need to see a few weeks of the season to see. And if he plays up to how me and you think he will, then I could definitely see that scenario happening. Uh, but as of right now, I've got Detroit at 1, Minnesota at 2, Chicago at 3, and I've got Green Bay in last. I'm not sold on Green Bay at all.
I'm not either. I think they finished last, man, because it just don't. I don't have anything to go on. Like if I had
He
some
has no
data,
weapons.
if
He
I
has no weapons. You lost guys, key contributors. Dude, if Green Bay would legit if for some crazy way they can compete for a division title, he's gonna play outside his mind with little to no weapons. I don't know if the offensive line's still gonna be really good. He could show out and prove us wrong, but just looking at the roster and looking at who's probably projected to play, I don't have any faith that Green Bay finishes in third place. I don't see them beating the Vikings twice, and I don't see them beating Detroit twice. There's no way.
it's funny you say that Jordan Love will have to play out of his mind, but the only scenario is you're right is that he would have to play out of his mind, and I think for them to compete to win a division title, he's gonna play out of his mind, and the team is gonna rally around him. That would be my only scenario going for them to even
Mhm.
sniff a division title. We're not even
And you
talking.
need one of those other two teams to slip up big time. You would need Detroit or Minnesota to completely fall apart, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
think
see
so
a collapse
either.
like that.
I just think the only team that could really slip and that would be the Lions in a sense
Yeah,
because it's a lot of it's they've been talked about since the end
a
of the
lot of
season.
hype.
Yeah, we've been talking about the Lions since the end of last season when they went on that run and they've been real good. They've been
They
the talk of
almost
the
made the playoffs,
offseason.
dude. Let's get it.
Yeah, so you got a lot of talk, a lot of hype going into this season that quite frankly the Lions haven't had in a very long time. So
Very long
I don't
time.
know, maybe they can smell their own roses and then that kind of lets them slip. But still, even with that, they might not be a playoff team, but they're definitely not going to be last in the division.
I don't see Dan Campbell letting them fall to the hype. I just don't see that. I think those guys, they got a lot of humble guys, a lot of good veteran leadership. I don't see them slipping like that. If I had to take a guess, I would say the Minnesota Vikings went underachieved. I'm high on Detroit. I just think they've got a really good roster, man. Like they're better on defense than the Vikings. And if Jared Goff plays anything like he did last year, yeah, they're gonna come in first, easy.
Okay, no, man. I agree with you, man. This is a great division, man. I'm gonna be interested to see, man. Shoot, I might have to get a Sunday ticket, man, just to kind of watch all these games, man, because I'm excited. I'm excited about this.
We
This
got
season, man.
a lot of good teams this year, man. I think this year is different than a lot of other years. Teams that aren't normally good, they're flipping the tables. A lot of these divisions that have been good, maybe not as good, and these divisions that have kind of been one-sided, they're not so one-sided now. And this is
Yeah,
probably, like you said, this is probably the best example of that.
yeah,
Just the sheer number of
especially
names that have came in.
yeah, especially you take Aaron Rodgers out off the Packers. Now everybody's almost got the same kind of quarterback. Like,
But this is the first time when's the last time this division looked like that? Because Aaron Rodgers has been there since like 2005. Brett Favre was there. The last time this division was open like that was like the early 90s, late 80s. That's a long time. Now you got a lot of younger guys. Who's going to take the bull by the horns? I mean, it's wide open, dude. It's the Wild West. Anything could happen besides Green Bay winning.
right. Right. But no, to close out this segment, right? Think about the Packers, like you're in the NFL, right? Right before the
Yeah.
merger happens, you got Vince Lombardi winning all those NFL championships. Then he
Yep.
wins the first two Super Bowls, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is then he gets a trophy, and then he tragically, dies, right? But now the trophy's named after him. The Green Bay Packers are legends, right? And then they
Mm-hmm.
go on like a kind of teetering along. Not bad,
Mm-hmm.
but just not where
No,
they
but not to
were.
the same standard.
Right. And then you get Brett Favre. He has this crazy long success, including a couple MVPs, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
somehow you luck up and get another generational type quarterback, right?
And he
And
gets to sit
well,
behind him.
yeah, but my point is to bring this up is why do they only have two Super Bowls in like 30 years? Like
Man,
that's
that
wild
is
to me.
crazy. Because even if we're not even talking about Favre, okay, let's just leave Brett Favre out of it. Favre leaves, Aaron Rodgers takes over. Within the first 2 or 3 years, they run the table and they beat Ben Roethlisberger in the Super Bowl. Great game, great win. But then you go on for another decade. Aaron Rodgers wins like 3 MVPs. Now, I don't know if he deserves every single one of those, but you have a quarterback that wins 3 MVPs, 3 or 4 MVPs, and you must make it to at least 6, 7. I don't remember how many NFC title games, and you just cannot. Even when Mike McCarthy leaves, you just cannot get back over the hump. And I feel like a lot of those games they were highly favored, and they just could not get it done. And now you're in a state of dysphoria. Like, okay, Aaron Rodgers is going. Oh crap, we have no receivers. We have one good running back, and our defense is still decent, but they're not going to carry us to the promised land because we don't even. They might know what they have in Jordan Love, and that could catch a lot of teams off guard. We don't know. But as of right now, just from my perspective, dude, I don't know what they're going to do. A ceiling, dude, I could see Green Bay winning a high of 7 games tops, if that. Maybe in the 4 to 5 range. I just don't. There's nothing to go off of. There's no tail of the tape. So I mean, like you said, this big old stretch of winning. All of a sudden, you're in a place you might not have ever been before.
Yeah, not in a very long time, bruh.
Because they could be they could turn into like what happens if they go 3-14? They've never been that. When has Green Bay ever drafted in the top 5? I
Long
mean,
time.
like this is like a
You
big
got
deal.
you got to go to like AJ Hawk days when they picked him. Like that was like,
That's what I'm saying. Almost damn like, and they weren't even that bad.
yeah, that's what I'm
Look at this
saying.
Scott Favre.
Yeah, they weren't even that bad when they picked AJ Hawk or Clay
That's what I'm
Matthews
saying.
or whatever. Like they weren't. They
Green Bay probably hasn't drafted that high since the '80s. If we're just being all going up, and that's nuts because this is probably one of the most, I guess, one of the most majestic franchises. Just a lot of rich culture, a lot of winning, a lot of history, and we could see them win 3 or 4 games this year, and that's kind of unsettling to me.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I think one thing about the NFL that I love is the element of surprise.
I was getting
When
ready to say the same thing.
the element of surprise because
You never know.
we going into this season and we're talking about the Lions winning, right?
Yeah, if you would have
Then
told me
we
that
got
5 years ago, I'd say, yeah, you're nuts.
and then now we're talking about the Packers who won this division more times than anybody else in this division combined, finishing last. And I just think if Jordan Love is anything they say he's gonna be, he's gonna have to ball out. And if he
Ball out's not
does,
the word, dude.
and if he does, oh my God, what are we gonna have to say at the end of the season
Well, we're gonna have to run the tape back and recount what we had to say, but
for our end of season episode? Like we're really gonna have to look at that and be like, yo, we got this
oof.
completely wrong. Where did like I don't want to eat my words, man, but
No, but I feel like a lot of other analysts are gonna feel the same way because you just don't have anything to go off of right now. So you
yeah,
have to
man.
just go off of what you have on tape and you go off of what you have as a roster. And I just don't they don't have anything that screams to me 8, 9, 10 wins. They just don't.
Agreed. All right, so we transition to another segment, man, our favorite segment, the top five segment. We try to close every show out with a top five list because it just brings out good conversation and some interesting takes, man. Because when you have two people that share different points of views on things, you get a good list, man. So today's top five segment, top five list is the top five running backs in NFC North history. Now, keep in mind, this is a division that has wonderful coaches, wonderful players, man, and some really good running backs, man. You might
Mm-hmm.
know some people on the list, but like I said, it's not the top of the list that's important. It's the list in total. Because there's some
Mm-hmm.
guys underneath those top guys that you might have forgotten about, man. So hopefully you got your grandpa watching because it's gonna be an interesting list. All right, you start, bro.
All right. So I've got a top five, but I do have an honorable mention because I feel like you just had to. I feel like this guy doesn't get talked about at all. It's probably one of the only modern guys. When I say modern, the modern era is anywhere from like the '60s on up. But when I say modern right now, I mean the last 10 years or so. So my
Okay.
honorable mention, I've got Matt Forte at honorable mention. I think Matt Forte was, dude, a freaking monster. Just consistently running for over 1,000 yards. That team they had with Jay Cutler, Brandon Marshall, guys like that, very underrated squad, but he's probably the most underrated piece on that team. I don't know why he's so underrated. Great player at Tulane, goes to Chicago and plugs right in. I don't remember him ever looking bad at all in his entire career. I've got him as my honorable mention just out of respect.
Okay.
Now, some of these other guys, like he said, you got to get your grandpa off a few of them because you didn't watch a lot of these guys live unless you're 40 plus.
Right.
So at number five, I've got Gale Sayers at five.
Okay.
Guy's a rookie of the year. He's the youngest player to ever get put in the NFL Hall of Fame. He was very underrated at a time when the Bears were kind of at a rise. Before the 84-85 Bears, really, really good player. Even had a movie about him and everything. Really good movie, though. If nobody's ever watched it, I think you guys should really check it out. But Gale Sayers, a really cool guy, really nice guy, really awesome player. I've got him at five.
Okay.
At number four, I've got Jim Taylor from Green Bay. We're
Mm.
going way back. We're going Bart Starr days. You brought up Vince
Okay.
Lombardi. The guy's got in an era that was so much different. The guy has over 8,000 yards rushing, 5 straight Pro Bowls, and a one-time first-time All-Pro. Dude, he was a really good tailback. To say we don't have a whole lot of great white tailbacks to speak of, Jim Taylor was hard nosed. He was tough. He could run through you. He could run around you. Very underrated player. In a time that most people probably watching this did not get a chance to really watch. But if you guys really have time, I'd really go back and watch some of his highlights. Jim Taylor is very underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now this is where
Toss right.
this is this is where this is where it gets interesting. This is where probably the most controversy is going to come up. I've got AP at 3.
Okay. Okay.
Guy is a 7-time Pro Bowler, Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. He won an NFL MVP. Not very often tailbacks, not as much anymore that tailbacks will win an MVP, but man, Adrian Peterson, one of the best runners I've ever watched. From college to the NFL, the guy was unstoppable. Could just do it, could do it all. Could carry the entire franchise on his back.
Like
Dude, the guy, he's been a journeyman in the last 5 years or so. With Adrian Peterson, dude, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, awesome running back, tough as nails, probably one of the smoothest guys I've ever watched carry a ball for sure.
Okay.
Number 2, I've got Barry at 2.
Okay.
Dude's a 10-time Pro Bowler, 6-time first team All Pro. If he plays a little bit longer, I've got him at 1. Barry Sanders, the most my opinion, the most prolific running back ever. Shifty, great breakaway speed, dude. He could break your ankles without even trying. Great speed, man. There's so many things you could say about Barry Sanders when he had nobody else around him. When Detroit just could not manage to put the right pieces around, questionably the best tailback of all time. It didn't matter who they were playing. It didn't matter if they were playing the number 1 ranked team or the last ranked team. He was going to have the same result. You were guaranteed 100 yards, if not more, and a lot of broken ankles and a lot of touchdowns, man. Barry Sanders, class act. Career ended way too soon. Obviously, everybody has their own reasons. Pretty sure his body was starting to feel it in his knees for sure. But dude, Barry Sanders has every case to be number 1. He's number 2 on my list, but man, it's by the skin of his teeth. Like, it's right there.
Okay.
I've got Sweetness at number 1, bro. You gotta put Sweetness, but I think the only thing that puts me over with Sweetness is he got a Super Bowl ring. He's still a 9-time Pro Bowler, 5-time first team All Pro. Got to be on the greatest defensive team of all time with the '85 Bears Super Bowl shuffle. Walter Payton, there's a reason why they named an award after him. Walter Payton was a class act, great runner, rest in peace. Dude, he was awesome.
He's a good dude.
Smooth operator, man. He could do it all.
He's a good dude, man. Came from a small
very
school,
good
too.
guy.
Small school, balling like that. I mean,
if there's anybody on this list, that y'all should go check out, it's definitely Walter Payton. He was way ahead of his time. Man, there's not enough you can say about that guy. I think he's definitely number 1 in my book. Not by much. It's literally neck and neck between him and Barry Sanders. But when I see a Super Bowl ring, I'm going to – obviously the defense was historic, but I'm going to put Walter Payton at 1.
Okay. Man, all right, that was a good list, man. I'm Jim Taylor, man. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I loved him. So if I had to pick an honorable mention, that was my honorable mention right there. He was close. It was close, man. But all right, we're gonna last episode I started 1 to 5. But this time we'll go back to the normal. We'll do it normal. 5 and 1. So obviously honorable mention is Jim Taylor, man. Him and his teammate who is on my list, they wreak havoc, man, on defenses, man. You couldn't stop them. It was simple, man. Simple toss right, toss left, man. God, man. Some of the stories about Vince Lombardi breaking that play down, like John Madden said, he went to I guess a coaches conference, and Vince Lombardi talked for 12 hours about one play. I was like,
it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise.
I'm like, yo, so y'all just ran one play, bro, and that worked out? Oh, man. Like, for 12 hours, dog? Like, we're going to talk about one play for 12 hours, dog. So, but, hey, that's a story for me. I like I like hearing that. But they were a well-oiled machine, man. All those championships they won before the Super Bowl, and then the first two Super Bowls. But Jim Taylor was definitely a part of it, man. But number five on my list is Gale Sayers, man. Career cut short because of injury, but boy, he
Mhm.
came in with a splash, man. He was smooth, he was fast, man, and I believe he has the record for touchdowns in the game. I don't think anybody's broke it with six.
I think he
So
does still have it.
yep. So he's got a bunch of rushing, kick return, and punt return that day. So yeah, yeah, definitely one of my favorite running backs in the NFC North, man. Exciting, fast player. Just sheer career just cut short because of injury, man. But if he had modern medicine back then, I think he would have played an extra 3 or 4 years. So, but
Mhm.
he made a mark, and he's a Hall of Famer, man. Can't be disputed at all, man. See, you went Jim Taylor. I'm going his teammate, Paul Hornung, at 4.
Yeah.
Paul Hornung, man, talk about a guy that transcends football, not just NFL, man. We're talking about a Heisman winner, uh, for the ladies, a sex symbol. They loved him. Talk about the first overall pick in a draft. He was drafted to do exactly what he did, and he did his thing, man. We're talking about a guy that won MVP. We're talking about a guy that won some Pro Bowls, some All Pros, man, and a bunch of championships, man, including like the first or both Super Bowls. So, a guy that really did wonders, man. I don't think they win without him. You had to have him. You had to have that offensive line, and you had to have him and Jim Taylor, man. Probably one of the
Mhm.
best backfield tandems in NFL history.
Ever.
Still top five. I don't care what you do, what you say.
Dude, they
Running
were
back,
ahead of their freaking time.
yeah, running back by committee started back then, man, and they did their thing. And Paul Hornung definitely was a part of it, man. So I can't. Now
I'm
here's what
curious to
we
see
get
what three.
into.
I'm curious to see what your top three is now.
So, like I said, we wanted to get our grandpa's people in there, right? Uh, but it's like I said, man, I love watching NFL films and those guys, man. They set the tone
Respect
for
where
what it
it's
was.
due.
Yeah, set the tone for what it was today, man. But I'm gonna go Walter Payton at 3, bro.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Walter Payton at 3,
That's a
man.
hot take. Oh man,
And
that's some
only and
stones, bro.
only and only because I love Walter Payton. I think he's an awesome person and an awesome player, and I think he's the genesis. He's the second genesis of the running back. So if you're a running back and you're looking to achieve success in that position, you need to go back and watch one, Jim Brown, and two, Walter Payton. Those are the two running backs that you need to watch as terms of running backs is concerned. But the reason why he's number 3 on my list, man, is because the other two guys just really just gave me more in terms of what I like a running back, man. I love Walter Payton. He was a tough runner. He did everything you needed to do as a running back, man. But I just felt like when I watched him, that running style is not conducive to winning all the time, man. And it break your body down. He's so important to it, to the running back thing. But he said he's an all-time lead rusher for a long time, and I love that. And he's a Super Bowl winning guy, man. But when you talk about that Super Bowl, you're not really talking about Walter Payton. You're talking about that defense. And
Agreed.
I love him, and he was a great person and a great man. I love his award, the Walter Payton Man of the Year. It speaks to what he was as a person. And this
There's
list,
a reason why they gave that to him.
right? If you're talking about like people, he's number one of NFL people, in my opinion. I don't think it goes further than him. But if we're talking, gonna keep the list going, man. So Adrian Peterson number 2 on my list, man. Adrian Peterson to me took what Walter Payton did and added to it. Like he added a whole host of different things. He's one of those few running backs that could juke you out your shoes and run you over. Uh,
Mhm.
those guys don't come around very often, and I think him coming back from an ACL injury and running for 2,000 yards is one of
Yeah,
those.
that's
Is
a
one
lot of
of
people don't
those
talk about that.
is one of those separating factors from him and Walter Payton because he Literally, his career could have ended after that, but he took his career to a whole different level. And I think that was the separating factor for me and Walter Payton. That 2,000 yards. I don't think Walter
That's when he
Payton
won that
got it.
MVP.
Right. Walter Payton never got to 2,000. So I don't that just screams awesome to me. Like to do that after a knee injury like that. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's why I put him number two. And number one's not surprising, Barry Sanders, bro. Barry Sanders to me was the apex of running backs, man. He was an apex predator for running backs. He was pound for pound the best running back because he wasn't the biggest and he wasn't the strongest, or he wasn't the fastest either. But he combined all three of those traits, man, to create somebody that was out here taking souls, man, taking souls, taking ankles, man. But the stuff he did, man, to single-handedly keep Detroit in the picture throughout
With
his career,
nobody else.
nobody else could do that. Like I love Walter Payton, I love Adrian Peterson, I love Gale Sayers and Paul Hornung, but he was doing things to really make his career. Like he carried Detroit to where they wanted to go, including the '98 NFC Championship game against Washington. He
Mm-hmm.
carried them to that game, and like I said, man, you want to give it to a guy, but he got 2,000 yards and could easily have broken the all-time rushing record. But I think it had a lot to do with the fact that Detroit wasn't going nowhere, and I don't think he wanted to
Mm-hmm.
go anywhere either. He gave his best.
Yeah, it wasn't a good situation. It wasn't going in an upward direction. It's not like he was on a team that was on the rise. Detroit, I've never been able to understand how they were so content with that. Especially nowadays, dude, there's no even like let's say when the running backs were not by committee, like maybe like 10 years or so, dude, that would have never flew, dude. Even when Adrian Peterson was in Minnesota, they would have never let that happen.
Nah,
They was
man.
like, oh no, we're gonna capitalize on what we have. We're gonna at least try to put something together. And that carried over even after he left. They just complacent, just terrible management decisions, terrible player signings, just and they finally think Jesus they figured it out, but man, like it
Man,
was just nuts.
look how many careers they've hurt just because of mismanagement, man. Like people want to call Joey Harrington a bust, but do you understand what he was working with?
He's
Nothing.
he was pretty much in the same situation as David Carr with Houston. Like it's literally mirrored the same
Nothing.
thing. They just didn't have a
We
chance.
don't we don't have anything. We don't have nothing for you. So you're just gonna go out
They had
here.
nobody at all.
We don't have
Nobody to throw
we're
the ball
gonna
to, no running back, and they couldn't block.
this is how
And
this
that's why
conversation this is how the conversation I think went when they drafted him and brought him in to meet him. Look, we're gonna draft you, but we don't have anybody for you. You're gonna get your ass kicked for the first couple years. And then we're gonna blame all our struggles on you. But we don't have anything for you. How does that sound?
the crazy thing is though, bro, even with Barry Sanders, they never could figure the offensive line out. He all that prolific running he was doing because the offensive line was completely complacent. There was nothing. He had to shake out 11 guys because they weren't blocking 11 guys
It was
at
about six.
all.
It's about six in the
Barry
backfield.
Sanders walks away. They draft Joey Harrington, and Joey Harrington's getting hit damn near every play, just like David Carr. And you're wondering why. Even yeah, you're wasting all your first round picks on receivers. Y'all need to be taking tackles and guards and centers. Matthew Stafford finally gets there, and they finally start to figure it out. But his ass was getting hit everywhere, even as a rookie, when he had injured his other freaking arm and still managed to play and win them that game. I forget who was against Cleveland or somebody. But that's crazy that it happened for over damn near 20 years or so, and then they finally figured it out. Hey, maybe we should get really
They
strong on the offensive line.
they have they have been a franchise that has had some really good success, man. Like if you ask like the old head NFL guys about the Detroit Lions in like the 60s and 70s,
Oh,
they were
dude,
the
Detroit
best.
was legit.
They had some of the best defenses out there. Remember Dick LeBeau? the
Dick
orchestrator of
LeBeau
the
was on that
3-4,
Detroit defense. He was solid too.
Hall of
And
Famer.
somewhere along the way, everything just
Just went down. Like I said, they have been a franchise that has been struggling up top to figure things out, man. I'll close. We'll close this segment out of the top five segment out on this, man. The Detroit Lions had Andre Ware, drafted him 7th overall, bro.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Heisman Trophy winner, high top fade, could
I
sling the
think he was
ball.
legit, man. He was
And
legit.
you decide to start Sam Mitchell. Why? Why? I don't understand it. You literally wasted the 7th overall pick's career because you wanted to start Sam Mitchell.
It's a
I'm
Detroit
sorry,
state of
dog.
mind.
I'm sorry. That right there is mismanagement. Cause ain't no way I'm the owner of the team and we just drafted the Heisman winner that's gonna sell us some tickets and he on the bench and Sam Mitchell playing. Ain't no way, man. Ain't no way. All I think about is that mismanagement right there. That
Mm-hmm.
speaks to what the problem in Detroit was. Because all you gotta do is spread that offense out. Spread it out because that's what he played in. So if you spread it out, what does that do? It opens up the box.
Mm-hmm.
Now Barry Sanders got all the room in the world to do his thing. Ain't
So
got
he
to
don't have to juke out everybody.
hmm?
To where he doesn't have to juke out everybody.
Man, and you let him go north and south just without having to dodge somebody in the
Oh,
backfield.
dude, he would have blew all these other guys out of the water,
I just
and he would have played even longer.
I just
But
man.
if I'm gonna finish out on one thing, there's one tailback that nobody talks about. It's probably the toughest freaking guy ever. Is Earl Campbell, bro. Choo! That was a bad man, bro. Running through guys, ripping dude's jersey off, and he's pulling these guys 10, 20, 30 yards like, nah, you're coming with me. Heisman Trophy winner, man. Dude was tough as freaking nails, bro.
Yeah,
I
man.
love Earl Campbell.
I throw in another honorable mention before we get into the closing arguments, man. Or we can combine this segment. It's definitely cool. But Thomas Jones, man. Remember him
Dude,
from
I love dude, nobody talks about Thomas Jones. Like, I've been a Patriots fan for a long time, but I was kind of like, I still like the Jets because I like Chad Pennington. I liked forget freaking Lavernius Coles. But dude, Thomas Jones was so freaking good. Like beyond and no, I've not heard that guy's name in so long. Like I play like Madden 08, Madden 09, and you create a team, he was always on my team every time because dude, the dude is just a bucket.
It's funny.
Like
It's funny you mentioned Madden 09, man. Guess who my secret player was? There's two of them. There's two secret players that I'll use. I bet you can't guess them.
what position? Running back?
Yeah, running back
Okay.
and
AFC or
receiver.
NFC? It's a receiver?
It's running back and receiver. It's two players that
Okay.
I use when I start my franchise mode.
AFC or NFC?
Um, AFC. But see, you probably won't be able to guess it because they're one player you'll know when I say it, and the second player is a player that I use to put in a different position. So one player for sure I had to start off with was Justin Miller,
Yeah.
cornerback for the Jets. He was so
Yeah.
fast and shifty, and when you shift him to running back, he's actually like a 99 speed, like
It's like OP.
yeah, like he's like 99 speed with like maybe 75 elusiveness and 72 ball carrier vision, which may not seem like a good running back, but that puts you at least 72. And I give him the ball, I can throw him out the backfield, he can run in between the tackles, gone, right? So the next player that I use is a part of my rebuild is Devery Henderson, LSU.
Dude, he was a sleeper, especially more so like in like Madden 06 and all that. He was OP.
Man, dog. You talk about
He was
fucking
freaking fast.
fucking fast, bro. Oh my
He's
god, dog.
pretty
Oh
much
my
like on the same
god.
as Devin Hester, just not as fast.
Man,
That dude was quick.
dude. This dude was sick on man, dog. I would run them out slants, man, and he would the cornerback would have horrible hips, and they'd just be like have to turn all the way around. He already caught the ball and gone down the sideline, dog. Like, bro, I'm telling you, those two dudes was definitely one of my favorite dudes on Madden, man, because they
You
could just
know,
change the game, dude.
you know a guy who I feel like could play in today's game though? Eric Dickerson.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know what it is about like those tall runners that just run tall, but I think that's really underrated in my opinion. Like he's one of those guys that like just I think like even like for example, I think when y'all had TJ Yeldon, he was kind of like just like upright kind of runner like that. And I don't know why, but I've always liked guys that run like that.
He don't get no motherfucking shine, man. He was so good at Bama, man. He was good, man, but he went to the Jaguars of all teams.
They were trash back then. That was the Blaine Gabbert days. Like they were horrible.
Trash. I didn't even know Blaine Gabbert was top 10. I didn't.
Yes, he was. Yes, for that, no good reason at all.
When I looked at like Todd McShay's or somebody top 10, I was like, Blaine Gabbert from Missouri is a top 10 pick? What?
Dude, I
was like,
Chase Daniel so much better than those other guys. Like
I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it, man. Like I knew he was okay, but
he was trash, bro.
I didn't think top 10. I did not.
Hell no. At all.
But you know what? but you know what? He carved out a nice career, man. He's a backup.
Yeah, he played a long time. I mean, it's the same thing with like let's say for instance, like a guy like a Dan Orlovsky, like not a flashy player, but the fact that you could stay playing in the league that long, I mean, that's impressive in itself. And I feel like guys like that don't get credit. But the backup quarterback is still really like to be a backup QB in the league. That's still impressive, especially for that long. That's impressive in itself.
Hey, that could be another segment, man.
Oh, top 5 backup QBs ever. Now that's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one for sure.
I got 3 already in my mind already. Like the ones that took over and won like big games and championships, man. I got 3 already. Those was cold, man. But like I said, man, we're gonna close down this show, man, because we could talk for hours, man. But this is episode 9 of the Football Frame of Mind podcast, man. Anything you gotta say before we get out of here?
Man, like always, y'all guys like, comment, subscribe. Make sure that bell notification's on so you don't miss a video. We've gone to the South. We've done the West. We just got doing the North. We have one division left, and it's probably the best division in the NFC. It's the NFC East. You've got Dallas. You've got Philly. You've got Washington. You've got the Giants. It's an interesting topic, and that's why we saved it for last. We think it's the most competitive division in the NFC, and I think you guys are really going to like where we go. So just pay attention. Just be ready because we're coming.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man. All right, man. See y'all in the next episode. Yeah.
Yes, sir.